Today on the podcast, we have some really interesting news about the Rabbit R1. This is the big new device that was launched at CES this year that everyone's talking about. It's a device that has AI built into it. And so they've actually just announced that they're going to be using Perplexity AI to answer questions. So this is kind of interesting because Perplexity uses a number of different other platforms as well as having their own AI model built in. But it's interesting that we're starting to see devices use kind of these essentially like a lot of people criticize Perplexity because they're like, oh, it's just a wrapper on top of other AI models. And I know they are making their own, but it seems to be integrated into some big devices. So today on the podcast, we'll be talking about everything about Perplexity, Rabbit, and why we think this is important, and a little bit about the announcements. Before we do that, I want to say a big thank you to our investors in the AI Box platform over on Republic. For those that don't know, I've launched my very own no-code AI app builder and marketplace, AI Box, and we're currently raising a round of funding for it over on Republic. If you're interested in investing, I'll leave a link in the show notes, republic.com/AI-box. But I want to give a big shout out because this week I've noticed a trend. There's a ton of different investors that have started increasing. I don't know why, I'm just seeing this trend. They're starting to increase their investments. So really a big thank you. You guys know who you are. A big shout out. And if you're interested in getting in and investing in this new AI startup, you can check out the link in the description. But let's get into the episode.
We gon' bring it to you just like that. Welcome everyone to the future. It's AI Chat, bringing you the interviews and giving you info to be in the know from tech company CEOs of. Rock with us, bet you gon' come back. I'm just saying the facts. This is AI Chat. Let's go.
So the big announcement is that the Rabbit R1 is going to use Perplexity AI's technology to essentially answer your questions. This is interesting. They're not using OpenAI or Anthropic or Gemini specifically, but they're going to be using Perplexity. Now, Perplexity is a model which has all of these other models like built into it. So talking about this whole announcement, though, we actually got a tweet or a post from Perplexity on X, and they said, "We're thrilled to announce our partnership with Rabbit. Together, we're introducing real-time, precise answers to Rabbit R1, seamlessly powered by our cutting-edge PPLX online LLM API." AKA, they're not going to be like grabbing an API to, even though like if you use Perplexity, you can like use ChatGPT or Gemini from Google or whatever. If you're using Rabbit, it's just Perplexity's in-house LLM, which is smart because they don't want to have to pay for the credits to all these other people if they have this customer. So that makes sense, and that is quite interesting. They said it's free from any knowledge cutoff. Plus, for the first 100,000 Rabbit R1 purchases, we're giving away 1 year of, I believe they said they're giving away like a year of Perplexity Pro. A free year of Perplexity Pro. So that's actually pretty interesting. One of the top comments on that is like, nice. If it ends up being a big bummer, at least I get a year of Perplexity Pro. So I don't know if that's the only reason why you should get this, but I think at the end of the day, Perplexity Pro is great. I know a lot of people that pay for it. Connor, my co-host on the AI Applied podcast, which, by the way, I've realized that a handful of people don't know I host other podcasts. I have two other main podcasts, AI Applied, talking about how to apply AI into your business and profession, and AI Hustle, talking about different ways to make money from AI. So definitely check out those two other podcasts that I host. In any case, I know that Connor from AI Applied, he has a subscription to Perplexity Pro, and he says it's completely replaced Google for him. So I think this is definitely a pretty solid product. It makes a lot of sense. And this is probably, Perplexity is one of their big partnerships that they're making with kind of one of these new up-and-coming technology companies. Now, what I think is interesting is just talking about the popularity, right? Like how many of these Rabbit R1 devices are actually going to be out there. So apparently, according to a tweet that they just put out a couple days ago, or yesterday, they said the fifth batch of 10,000 Rabbit R1 devices has sold out. So that's 50,000. Pre-orders for the sixth batch, totaling 50,000, are available now. So they're essentially their first run is gonna be 100,000 devices. They said expected delivery date for the sixth batch is June or July of this year. For all addresses in the EU and UK, batches 1 through 6 will be shipped by the end of July on a first come, first served basis. So this is really, really interesting. This is a brand new device, but they have over 100,000, or they have over 50,000, orders so far, and they're opening up for another 50,000. I think we're going to see, like, it's a small device. A lot of people are asking the question, like, does this need to be its own operating system, its own device? Essentially, it's a a device, if you haven't seen the Rabbit before, that has a camera on it, has a little scroll wheel, and it has AI built into it. So you can ask it questions, you can use the camera, you can point it at things. And a lot of people are asking like, okay, cool, but like, what does this do that my phone can't do? Should this just be an app on my phone that accesses my camera and a couple other things? I think I'll play the devil's advocate on that and say, I think people do sometimes like a fun, novel device like this. I know for my own kids personally, they have like a little, it's called a Yoda Mini, but it's just like it's pretty much a Bluetooth speaker, but you put cards in it that have stories on them and it reads them the story, or plays like a podcast or something like that. And they absolutely love this thing. It's kind of funny because they're, sort of expensive for just a Bluetooth speaker, and you got to spend like $30 to get these packs of like with like 6 cards with some stories on them. So, all in all, it's a commoditized device that makes a lot of money. But I think that parents really do like the novelty. They like not having to give their phone to a kid and knowing, they're only going to get access to this little story that I'm giving them. Having these little novel devices, I think, is fun and does serve a purpose for a lot of people that just might want it for one specific thing. So I do think I'm very excited about the Rabbit, and I am a little bit bullish on this. And what I'll say is the thing that I'm the most bullish on is when you start comparing this to other AI hardware, like the Humane Pin, which was like, I think $600. This thing's like $200. So I think it's just at the right price point where it's like a fun, novel, thing for a lot of people to test out. It's only a couple $100. So yeah, I do think that this is going to be a lot of fun for a lot of people. What I will say is that right now we're seeing Perplexity that's now made this big announcement, and it's going to be running off of this. Perplexity is a very solid company. Of course, they have like Gemini, Mistral, Anthropic's Claude, GPT-4. Like they have all those other AI models that can help power their search. I think eventually they'll just switch to defaulting to just being their own AI model to save costs and etc. But I do think that it's a very solid company. They recently raised $73.6 million at a $520 million valuation. And this was from a bunch of really top-notch people, including NEA, Databricks Ventures, NVIDIA, the former Twitter VP, Shopify's CEO, Toby, and also the ex-GitHub CEO, Nat Friedman, and also the Vercel founder, Guillaume Rauch, and also Jeff Bezos. So, like, this Perplexity has some really solid backers. I think that they're making a really solid product, and I think this is a great time to start making these partnerships with companies like Rabbit, who are making these kind of new novel hardware devices that have AI embedded in them. I'm really excited to see where this plays out in the future, but I think this is a very interesting device, and this is a great partnership. Have you ever wanted to start your own podcast? I record and publish podcasts on a platform called Spotify for Podcasters, and I absolutely love it. Essentially, you can upload from your phone or computer, and it distributes to every platform that plays podcasts. They support video podcasts, and you can make money on the platform with ads or even podcast subscriptions, something that has made my life so much easier as a podcaster. So if you're interested, I highly recommend you give it a try. You can download the Spotify for Podcast app or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your podcast today.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
Thank you for listening to the AI Chat Podcast. If you enjoyed the podcast, I'd appreciate it if you rate me wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you're looking for an innovative group of AI enthusiasts, make sure you check out our Discord channel and also our Facebook community. It's obviously a lot more interactive than a podcast, where we can actually share software tools, prompts that we're using in everyday AI. I'll leave a link for those in the description below.